What's up, listeners? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the In the Endzone podcast. Just a quick heads up before we jump right into it. You can find this recording as well as some of our previous recordings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find us by searching at Settle Down Media on both of those sites. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages. We regularly post on Instagram. You can find us by searching at In the Endzone podcast on Instagram. So thanks for watching this and enjoy the rest of the episode. Peace.
Yo. What's poppin', fellas? Yeah,
We're here.
I'm sorry. The face that you made when you realized it was actually recording. Okay. Also the private chat. The face you made, that shit was hella funny. You're like,
yep.
How we doing, fellas? How we doing?
Good, man. Good.
I do want to say something. Keaton, are you not home right now?
I'm home. Look, I need to come clean. I have been living a lie. I'm sorry to tell you, if you believe that I was, lived in this nice house, I gotta be honest. I'm sorry, I haven't. I've been using a green screen, guys. Been using a green screen, but I decided to work on my sports wall that I will now show.
Oh shit, that's tough. That's tough.
And then I got
I like that.
Hold on. Let me see if you can. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
That's tough.
Fuck. There you go. Yeah. You gotta.
Yeah, that's hard. I like that.
Been working on that.
Flip around your desk.
Huh?
You gotta flip around your desk so you can see the other side. But
yeah, there's nothing on the other side.
No.
You deserve this one, man.
Why?
You told a lie. Stop this. Okay, there we go. We really did it, man.
I have things I'm about to frame as well, like in a week. So
through thick and thin, man.
Sorry. I'm
thick
sorry.
And thin in the off season.
Okay.
That was
just
one
call
of the
me
best
fat.
intros of all
Cool.
time.
Cool. Just call me fat. Awesome.
Anyway, fellas, how we doing?
Wow.
How we doing? What a fucking weekend of football. I'm gonna say that before we even start doing anything. That shit was crazy. Okay. Does that actually
We're back.
work?
Yeah, it works.
Never mind.
Never mind. It was never a green screen. It was never a green screen.
What? Wait, this works? Okay. We're back. We're back home.
What? Holy shit. That was a quick ass flight, Keaton. Are you kidding?
It was never a green screen, everyone. He was just kidding. He was messing around. Okay. Like, let's not get this confused.
Allegedly, it wasn't a green screen.
Yeah.
He's
allegedly.
still rich as fuck.
Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Allegedly, but
damn, I didn't know.
Yeah. What a weekend of football, man.
What a weekend of football.
Yeah, Keaton, how was your week? How was it?
Week was good. Watched some football. Went to the gym a couple times. Watched the inauguration. Had a 3-day weekend.
Football. I think you were playing Wii Sports or whatever you were playing. What was that?
I was playing Nintendo Switch Sports.
Yes, instead of watching some of the games.
Played 2 hours of three-point shootout in Nintendo Switch Sports. So
then I watched the game.
I'm not gonna lie, that game is fire.
Game is sick. So didn't watched enough football, right? Just enough to get my fix. Week was good though. Week was good. Can't complain. 3-day weekend.
Yep.
Nice to be back.
Good. Zach, how was your weekend?
It was a lot of fun, man. We didn't really do much Friday or Saturday. Obviously, you are back, so I could say we now. But Sunday, man, we got kind of hammered with Diego and Lachlan and McKenna and a couple other people, and that was a lot of fun. That's the first time I've been buzzed or at least drunk on a Sunday in a while, and it got a little greasy at the end. We don't gotta put in details, but you know what I mean. Fun night overall, and the week has been tough so far, though. I'm not gonna lie, it's really thrown me off not having Monday as a work day because I come back Tuesday and I have like a bunch of meetings, so I can't get anything done beginning last week, like on Monday. And so I came back today and like I had to deal with a bunch of shit. So work-wise, it was tough. Monday was a lot of fun. We golfed, which was really fun, although it was crazy windy. But overall, it's been solid, man. What about you, Hank?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, same thing as you, man. Just I'm finally back. I'm back with you, my little Pookie bear. Let's see what else. The games were a great time. We went to Muntlinch's. Shout out to Muntlinch's. That's where we watched the games out on Sunday. I don't even know. Where did we watch the game? Oh, I think we just chilled and watched the games on Saturday at the house here.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Those games were good. They were all right, but the ones we were really looking forward to were on Sunday. We went to the bar, watched those, and then as Zach said, got a little greasy. All I'm going to say is I may or may not have taken 2 trips to Taco Bell later on that evening. That's all I'm going to say, though.
And there may or may not be a leftover taco in our fridge.
That I meant to throw out, and it will be thrown out because that is gross.
Disappointing, guys. Disappointing.
Yeah, very. But overall, it's a good time. Keaton, you were talking about your decoration on the wall. I just got mine right here. It's finally hung
Hell
up.
yeah, brother.
Sick, dude.
Cool. Yeah, so that's a
Sick
cool
as
one.
fuck.
And sick as fuck. But that's about it. I'm just ready
Nice.
to talk some ball. We had a very
Yes,
interesting
sir.
week. We had a very interesting week for the divisional round.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. We
Yes,
did.
we
We
did,
absolutely
man.
did. Do we just want to jump into the intro?
Let's
Yeah,
jump into the
in, brother.
intro.
Jump
Can't wait to
in.
hear
Do
these
it.
takes again.
Green 18. Red 48. Settle down. Wide 80. Set hut.
We suck. We suck. Get rid of Belichick. Get rid of Mac Jones. Get rid of our entire fucking receiving core.
You guys are 2-8.
That's what I thought.
7, 2, and 8. It doesn't matter. We still suck.
So Seahawks played the Ravens. Final score was 28-25. Geno Smith, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
He's a
Anyway,
fuck, dude. He's
not
a
really
fuck.
much to write home about that game. Just
Right.
This is a
I don't think
egregious
Jared
game.
Goff is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC.
I think Aaron Rodgers-
Are you putting Justin Herbert over Jared Goff?
Yes. Yes.
It was like an interview for like a new podcast company.
Yeah.
Called
Mhm.
Brazzers. I mean, you could see I'm literally in the headquarters right now, dude. My QB only had 3 interceptions. Your QB had 4 interceptions. So I don't want to hear it.
Zach, just
Hey, I
stole
got no
away. We've
comments
done it
yet.
every single time. Or do you want to wait? No? Okay.
I'll wait. I'm gonna wait my turn.
Everyone? Okay. Well, welcome, fellas. You know what? This is the divisional round that just finished. Like we said before the intro, this was a very interesting and honestly a very exciting week all in all. But you know what wasn't exciting? The very first game to start off the divisional round, which was the Texans at Chiefs. The Chiefs ended up beating the Texans 23-14. Now, this is all I'm going to say, and then you guys can go off of this, okay? This is a weird stat of mine. The Chiefs are now 7-0 when a game is ref by Clay Martin.
That is wild.
That's
That is
tough.
wild.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be right back.
And
Sorry,
I
fellas.
think, no worries. And I think really looking at it now, and just not even now, those calls that were made, absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. Some of those calls that were made, or I'm not going to lie, most of them, they were very
Blasphemous.
highly questionable, blasphemous, absolutely insane. The personal fouls that were called against Mahomes were absolutely
flopping
nuts.
and shit?
He's flopping, didn't touch him, and one of them he wasn't even touched. One of them he was not touched, and they called it. And they can't hide it anymore. You know it's bad when Aikman even
Just
says
so
that.
bad,
No,
man.
this is ridiculous.
Just so bad.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull a video real quick of
Yeah, pull that up, Zach. Do you have anything to say while Keaton's pulling this up?
Run through all the games and then we'll talk about all of them. I think that's probably the smartest thing to do, just because we have 4 of them, you know?
Yeah. So after the Chiefs game, we had the Commanders at Lions. Commanders upset the Lions and beat them 45-31. And then Sunday, we had the Rams at Eagles. Eagles end up taking this close victory, 28-22. And then we had potentially one of the games of the week, or one of the best games this season, Ravens at Bills. Bills end up winning this 27-25. The Bills can very much thank Mark Andrews for that.
Yep.
It's mine, dude.
And Lamar.
It's
Let's not do that. And Lamar.
And Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that first game, that was fucking ridiculous. And I will say, I saw a fucking stat recently about the Chiefs and their opponents with penalties. And in the Super Bowl run and the dynasty that they've had, I shouldn't just say quotes because it is a dynasty. But since Patrick Mahomes has been on the Chiefs in their playoff runs, they've had more penalties against them than they have against, or that their opponent has had against them. So technically speaking, there's not necessarily, if you look at just the stats, there's not necessarily a bias towards the Chiefs because their opponents typically have more penalties than the Chiefs do. Or excuse me, they have more penalties than the Chiefs do. I'm saying this so wrong. The teams that play the Chiefs typically have more penalties against them than the Chiefs have it with their own team. Sorry, could not get that out. However, it's the timing of the penalties in the Patrick Mahomes era that really, really start to make you question what we're watching. Because even during these games, even during the divisional games, typically they don't lose. They don't lose these divisional games. Patrick Mahomes has actually never lost a divisional game. So, but you look at a game like this, and it is fucking ridiculous. Reigning Super Bowl champions face the Texans. The Texans had a more controversial tone, taking an umbrage with the 8 accepted penalties they drew. In particular, a pair of 15-yarders for hitting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And these are the two that I want to talk about. Like I said, the teams that go up against the Chiefs, they typically do have more penalties or less penalties than the Chiefs do, right? And so when you look at this, it's like, okay, there's not really a bias. But then you look at the penalties in which that you see what happens. And Patrick Mahomes starts flopping. Or Will Anderson hits Patrick Mahomes and he barely hits him. Barely hits him. He literally lets go like they're supposed to. Like in the rule books, he stops. Let's go. Hits him a little bit with his shoulder and head. To begin with, was not crowned to fucking crown.
Right.
The helmet. Crowned to fucking helmet. It's crowned to helmet. Like that. That was like this. If his head was up, he grazed it. Not with the crown, with his fucking face mask. So that call was fucking horrible. And then you look at another one. It's like, dude, that one was fucking bad too. The 15 yards during the second half was just awful. And then after those two penalties, we have Patrick Mahomes fucking flopping.
Yep. He had flopping in out of bounds. And yeah, Keaton, what's this? Oh my God. Okay, this is the one where they didn't get called for it, but look at this flop.
It's like, dude, he didn't even touch you.
They didn't even touch him.
You, man.
You know what's bad when Texans players actually looked at the ref too and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like, no, like we.
And the ref goes to fucking pull it, dude. That's the worst part.
Yeah, he went to go pull it, but he didn't.
Here's another one. Okay, there's 2 angles to this one, so watch this and be like, "Oh, you know what? Hold on.
Here it is. Here it is. Yep.
Hold on. No. Let me play this one. Okay, look at this. Look at this angle and be like, "Okay, you know what? I can see it." Technically, he kind of goes down the slide, right? And really, they collide with each other, right? I can kind of understand. I can kind of understand the penalty, right? I think that's called 6 out of 10 times. I think that's called 6 out of 10 times. For Mahomes, it's called probably a little bit more frequent. But ultimately, he was hit
at that moment where he hits him, right?
Let me show this different angle real quick. Watch this. Yeah. Okay, let me show this different angle, right? Because I have the exact same, but with a different angle. And I now want y'all to look at this and tell me what you think. Look at how he drops. That is insane. That is crazy. He was not even going for yards. He just...
And it's the back judge that throws it. The back judge.
Look at that.
The back judge had the fucking worst view because 91 comes flying in. He couldn't even see it. He couldn't even see it. And this is what I'm fucking talking about, dude. It's like... Yes, the teams that go up against the Chiefs, since Patrick Mahomes has been there, typically have less penalties. Am I saying that right? I don't know how to fucking say this.
Teams essentially
teams that go up against the Chiefs typically
they are penalized more.
Penalties.
They're penalized more frequent going against Mahomes.
I'm getting that mixed up in my head, but typically the team that goes up against the Chiefs, like you said, are more penalized. You look at it like that, and there's 15-yard penalties. In a game that, what's the score during that drive? It's a third quarter. It's still a one fucking touchdown drive, a one touchdown game, and we're looking at a 15-yard penalty because the ref that can't see it in the back just throws it.
And that would have been fourth down as well, I believe. That would have been a fourth down.
Fourth down, you're punting the ball up. And again, look, they get into the fourth quarter and they're always in one-score games. And look at that fucking penalty. One-score game. That was a one-score game that completely changed the game because they got it and then they scored points. And it's like, dude, you can't defend it like that. And it's like, okay, that one's pretty bad, right? Like Keaton said, more than likely they're probably calling that unless it's not like a very favored quarterback, I should say. But that first one against Will Anderson in the first quarter completely changed the tone because they scored on that fucking drive too to begin with.
Yeah.
But that was not – I wish that you could pull it up. I don't know if you're going to be able to find it, but –
What is it?
That Will Anderson's hit against Patrick Mahomes, the first 15-yard penalty. Unnecessary roughness. Watch it. You can see it from the back. He literally does everything the rule book says to. He slows down. He barely hits him. And it's like, dude, like you saw in that one fucking video that Keaton just showed, there's a difference between a 15-yard penalty where they're going to call it, like typically the one that we just saw, where they either throw an excessive elbow or their head is down, the crown of their helmet hits the fucking helmet. Something excessive hits their fucking helmet. This one right here, there's nothing excessive. This is a football play. This is it. Nothing hits him.
So then you watch this angle and then immediately watch this. Hold on.
He just flops. It's like, dude. Look at him. He literally gives up.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Hits him, and it's like, dude, are fucking 6'5". What do you want? He's hitting him. Like, this is fucking football. That is not a penalty. That is not. The one that he slid, I'll give it to him. That one looks kind of in time like it could be, but it's a back judge that threw it.
Yeah.
But I did see that stat, and I don't know who said it. I think it was someone on Barstool because they've been going crazy about that all week. But they said that the teams that play the Chiefs are typically more penalized. So that narrative needs to stop. However, I think the narrative needs to begin with, when are these penalties thrown? Because those type of penalties right there are the penalties that get them points because it continues to drive. And that is not shown on the stats. Look, man, I mean, that was kind of a predictable game. We both, or all three of us, had the Chiefs winning. Realistically, I know that you guys picked the Texans just to pick the Texans, but you guys believed that the Chiefs are going to win.
Okay, hold on. Wait.
We kind of saw it coming, but fuck, dude. This team, they just play close in every game. It's a one-score game or a 9-fucking-score game, and it's like, dude, every single time they play close. They play close, and they know how to win close every single time. So if this AFC Championship game is close, I'd be worried for the Bills.
They're always close, though. Always are. Keaton, did you have any final words about this game?
Actually, I had. Okay, this is actually kind of a crazy stat.
Okay.
NFL officials have assessed 47 penalties against the Chiefs in the fourth quarter and overtimes of one-score games over the past 2 seasons, including playoffs. That is against. Those same officials have assessed 48 penalties against the Chiefs' opponents in the same critical situations. The yardage totals are similarly close, 307 yards against the Chiefs compared to 340 yards against their opponents. So I'm not saying that he doesn't get those favorable calls. I think he gets a lot of favorable calls. But from that stat, the calls are fairly even in crunch time. Not saying early in the game, whatever. But at least in crunch time, they're pretty even.
Look, a lot of people complain about the same thing with Tom Brady's. The Joe Montanas, the Tom Brady's, the Steve Youngs, all of them. They get the fucking calls. And Tom Brady typically didn't get calls like this. I'll say that. He got a lot of holding calls where it's like, was it really holding? This is a typical fucking thing that happens with Patrick Mahomes.
Watch this.
Look, he fucking gives up. He doesn't.
Yeah, hardly got hit.
Yeah.
Doesn't even hit him in the head. So
ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as like a GOAT, you typically get calls. Tom Brady didn't get calls like this, in my opinion. It wasn't
not like that.
Maybe it was. And again, we got to give it the benefit of the doubt and look at the different generations, right? Like this is definitely a softer generation than Tom Brady. However, Tom wasn't getting those unnecessary roughness. He even says it while he fucking announces. He hates it. He's like, dude, they're making football soft again, or they're making football soft, whatever you want to fucking say. And he did get a lot of calls, a lot of holding calls, but you also have to look at it and look at the stats. Just like Keaton said, everyone wants to be biased against them. Why? Because they're great.
Yeah.
Everyone hates greatness.
I'll just say this real quick and we're moving on. Yes, you are correct. A lot of holding calls. To back up with the whole thing with the unnecessary roughness with Brady, you can look up. There is a play, and specifically in my mind, can't remember when, can't remember what team exactly, but there is a play where Brady gets absolutely rocked when he's getting out of the pocket and trying to run the ball. Helmet comes flying off, no flag, no penalty. Brady gets right back up, gets his helmet on, and goes right back out there into the field. Simple as that.
That man would have been suspended.
Yep.
That would have meant that man would have been fucking suspended. And now,
Yes.
And nowadays, like he would have been fucking crazy gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just crazy.
So
it's crazy, man.
But moving on, like I said, next we have Commanders who upset the Lions 45-31 on Saturday afternoon, evening-ish. This honestly crazy, shocking game. I know Zach is going to have a speak just a couple words on this. No.
I don't even have to speak. I don't even have to speak.
Yeah, you do. I know you want to. You want to talk about it.
No. Let me show you. How about that? Like
Last two games, I will say, didn't play
always
great.
Like I said, like I always fucking say, Jared Goff in the regular season will always be a top 5 NFC quarterback, always be a top 5 quarterback. But when it matters, that man throws 5 interceptions and has a QBR or a rating of an average of 70. I'm sorry, man. It's hard to fucking argue against play that well, but when they fucking get down and dirty, it's just like Dak. It's just like, and we're gonna
what's interesting. What's interesting is
it's hard. It's hard to defend those guys when they do this consistently. And Jared Goff, like I said before you talk, like I said, and I'm not going to tell you guys right now that I'm wrong or right about him being top 5 because I'll admit it, I think he is top 5 in the NFC. However, when it matters, I will never ever put my money on Jared Goff because of this exact stat. The last 3 games leading up to the playoffs, this man had 494 yards, 5 touchdowns, 118.9 rating. 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, 137 rating. 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 132.4 rating. 0 interceptions in that three game span. He had 1 interceptions in the last 7 games leading up to the playoffs. Then he goes in the playoffs. What happens? Oh, excuse me. The Vikings were not a playoff game, but that was a game that fucking mattered for them to get in the playoffs, and he still didn't play well. He had 2 interceptions then. But we get into the playoffs. We go against the Commanders, who is not a good defense. Not a good defense. Probably is the weakest defense left in the NFL in the playoffs. And he has a 57.5 completion percentage, 313 yards time, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a rating of 59.7. Look, I don't hate Jared Goff. I just know when I see a player that can't perform in crunch time, and Jared Goff is that guy. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. And look, I want to even go farther, Lions fans. I'm not going to say I hate you. You did bother me a little bit last year. And look, Anthony has asked me, why do I not like the Lions? Typically, I don't mind the Lions, is what I'm going to say. However, you guys glaze Jared Goff too much. It's like the fucking Cowboys, man. And I'm going to say this. Jared Goff will never win you Super Bowl. Never. That Lions team, as long as Jared Goff is there, is doomed. Sorry. And if you want to argue it, let's argue in the fucking comments because look, there's stats. There's stats to prove Jared Goff is ass in the playoffs. I mean, you look it up and it's like, dude, how can you defend the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I do. I really think he struggled. I think he struggled to find himself. And I really felt that truly what happened, Washington came out and Washington punched him in the mouth, man. This kind of same thing. Like when they played the Niners last year in the NFC Championship, there was an 85% chance that they walk out of that game with a win. What happens in the second half? Niners come out, they fire, they get hot, they answer super fast, and Washington or Detroit is caught off guard, and I just don't think they had the ability to bounce back.
Which
One of
to me
the
is kind of crazy because they
one of the
played
things
the Niners and punched them in the fucking mouth.
I know, but one of the things I do want to say is my only not defense against Jared Goff, because again, you can't have that bad of a game and get credit, right? I didn't give Justin Herbert credit, so I'm not going to give Jared Goff credit. He played awful. There is something to be said with how consistent that offense has to play and how perfect that offense had to play to win that game, because they had 18 defensive players out. 18, whether they're bench players or starters. I mean, you lose two of your top cornerbacks. You lose Aiden Hutchinson. You lose, Brian Branch was getting his ass lit up. I'll be honest. Brian Branch was getting lit up. But Carlton Davis out, the top cornerback. Khalil Dorsey, McNeil, Davis, all those players out. Aiden Hutchinson. And ultimately, I think, 30 points can win you a playoff game. 30 points. Let me back this. Go NFL scores.
And Keaton,
in all of the games, 30 points was the most points scored between every single team that played other than the Commanders. 30 points wins you a game, despite the numbers that Jared Goff had. The problem was Washington put up 45 points. They couldn't stop them. Washington had 28 points in just the second quarter alone. They had 14 in the fourth quarter. You can't win a game giving up 45 points, but 31 points could win you a game. And so I think what changed was ultimately that defense is so worn out and so exhausted that this offense has to just do things that people can't really imagine and things that they've done before, right? Like Ben Johnson running these trick plays. People are going to catch on to these trick plays. You run them enough, people are going to catch on. That's why you don't use them all the time. Because the defense kept giving up points, you have to have some sort of explosivity. You can't just keep running 5 yards with David Montgomery and expect to win a game. You have to score points. And so they said, fuck it, let's take deep shots, and it screwed them. Waiting too long for a receiver to develop, and now you're giving up a strip sack. Running a trick play for, was it Jahmyr Gibbs to throw a pass, and he throws an interception. Thank you, Jameson Williams. And ultimately, they had to try that to try and keep the game close. And you fuck up once, it's over. You fuck up 5 times, and it's very over. They had 5 turnovers in this game, and it cost them. It really did. But again, they only lost by 14 points. So 5 turnovers shouldn't have resulted in a 14-point loss. This game could have been a 60-point loss. You can't have it. You got to be smarter. And
with the amount of injuries too.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
That goes right into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It really is.
That's honestly a really good take there, Keaton. Look, that's a really good take there.
No, that was a great take. And I'm not going to give all the blame to Jared Goff. No. I just wanted to. I've been shit on a little bit. But I will say
their offensive line was getting worked.
That defense was awful. I think I saw a stat. He had 2 fucking punts the whole game. Not good. De'Ami Brown, too, took whatever Amon St. Brown said personally. And Amon had a great game. He had 135 yards. So I'm not going to say that. But he took it personally and played well. Commanders are fun, man.
Yeah.
But
Bobby Wagner in an NFC championship.
That was
Bobby Wagner.
That was surprising for sure.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Wagner could win a ring. Holy moly. I'm bricked.
Well,
I am bricked.
The next game we have that happened Saturday afternoon. Rams at Eagles. Like I said, Eagles won this game 28-22. Close victory. Rams almost make the comeback, and then Matt Stafford proceeds to get sacked, and it's GG's from there. Honestly, all I got to say is Puka Nacua. That man knows ball. That man is good at football. That's all I really want.
Fantastic.
That catch was
He's so good.
Crazy.
Phenomenal
also,
catch.
Matthew Stafford is really fucking good too. He's still amazing.
He is.
He's still amazing.
He's still great.
Look, I hate both these teams, and I would assume that Keaton, you don't like both these teams either. Maybe
I don't mind
like
the Eagles
that much, but
I hate the
Yeah,
Rams.
not the
That's the
Eagles
thing.
that
I
much. I really
hate the Rams
really
almost as much as I hate the
dislike
Niners.
both these teams. Um, yeah, that's almost the same with me and the Seahawks and Rams. But yeah, I don't like both these teams. But I will say, I mean, that was a hell of a game, hell of a fucking game. Puka Nacua, he is incredible. Probably top 10 overall wide receiver, and he's borderline top 7 because of what he does while blocking too. He has an impact on that team like no other. Cooper Kupp, we'll talk about that later. Sorry, I was going to bring it up, but yeah, that team played really well. Jared Verse, and this will be the last point I make about it, just because I have 2 more points. Jared Verse talked a lot of shit about Eagles fans and how he hates them. You gained a fucking fan from me, by the way. However, he came out and fucking completely backed that shit up. He was all over Jalen Hurts, and that kind of runs me into my next point. The Eagles will not win the game or the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl or anything if they make Jalen Hurts throw the ball. If Commanders go into the game saying, we're going to stop Saquon, they will win that game. Jalen Hurts, I think, is hurt. Dude, he
is
can't
hurt.
make
He
a
is hurt.
comeback
He is
throw.
hurt.
Yes,
He is
He
hurt.
can't make a fucking typical comeback throw. Like, he's throwing shit into the ground. I'm like, dude, Jalen, what are we doing here? Even his deep balls, I'm like, okay, like that looked decent, but it just looks off. He's definitely hurt. Dude, this next game's gonna be fun. Man, the NFC least. 2 of the fucking teams that are representing the NFC Championship are in the NFC least. That is crazy. What a game, though, seriously. And Saquon, you are fucking godly at football. Godly.
Yeah. Okay, I want to say this. So, a couple things. My stat, I missed it, but I'll get right back onto it. But what the main thing I wanted to say is just the fact that the Eagles, man, that offense, and I know we're talking about Jalen Hurts here not playing healthy. They have scored. Let's see. Let me go back to my screen here. They scored 28 last week. They scored 22 the week before, and against the Giants they scored 20. Before that, though, they had a game where they scored 33 and 41. The game where they scored 33, they lost the Commanders by 3. The Commanders put up 36 on the NFL's best defense, the premier defense, and they've only gotten better. And unfortunately, the Eagles' offense has gotten worse. The Packers game, you look at the spread and you're like, okay, Eagles handle business. By no means was that a dominating game.
No.
They simply cannot. Their offense just can't get going, and Saquon can only do so much. Jalen Hurts has 131 yards in the wild card round, and he had 128 yards and no touchdowns in the divisional round. You can't. I'm sorry. Bobby Wagner might eat him alive. Bobby Wagner is still one of the most premier run stoppers in the NFL as a linebacker. If you allow him to just stay on Saquon, I'm not saying Saquon's not going to go for 100 yards, but he's a good stop for Saquon.
He's the guy that you want to stop him.
Yeah. It's why he's a Hall of Famer. The other stat I had was something interesting. So we talked about the NFC North, right, all year. Best division in football. Holy shit, they've been so good.
Best of all time.
Highest win percentage for a division. Want to know something really crazy? Let me duplicate my tab here. Packers. Okay, so not only did they go 0-3 in the playoffs, the best division in all of football history, went 0-3 in the playoffs, but they had, I think it was, let me verify this real quick. Their quarterbacks had a total of 2 touchdowns in those 3 games with, 7 interceptions. The best defense, or the best division in all of football. Jared Goff, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions in his game. Jordan Love, 3 interceptions, no touchdown. Sam Darnold, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They both had sacks too. That's strip sacks, and they lost fumbles. So
I was about to say, that does not include fumbles. I think they had 9 turnovers. I was about to say 9 before that. That's crazy, man.
9 turnovers for those teams. So
and then
cool.
One of the worst divisions that we've talked about in like the last 3 years, the NFC fucking East, who this year has been better, but surprisingly better with teams that we really didn't expect. I mean, we expected the Eagles to be good, but the Commanders we did not expect to be good. And now they're
Not like
representing
this.
the NFC. Both of them are
Yeah.
representing the NFC. Like we've called them the NFC least the last 3 years, and
Yeah.
dude, shout out you guys.
And
man.
they're
That was
doing it.
fucking nuts.
They're
That
doing
was
it.
nuts. Something I was never expecting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, this final
the
game.
last game. Yeah.
Final game. Ravens at Bills. Bills took this game 27-25. Our hopes and our prayers continue to live on, boys. They really do. Yeah, like I said, honestly, the Bills the Bills can thank Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews for this win.
Fart Andrews.
Fart Andrews. And yes, Fart Andrews and Lamar Jackson. Honestly, more so to Mark Andrews, though. How many fumble, 3 drops?
It's
whatnot?
not just
yeah.
It's not
3
just that
drops and 1
drop.
fumble.
3 drops and 1 fumble.
Yeah.
And that fumble.
So
That fumble is just pure great defense, though. Sorry.
I'm gonna pull up the video. People have to see this.
I
If-
mean,
No,
that
yeah.
was a punch. That was a punch.
That was
That
a
was a
punch.
punch and a half. I'm gonna say
That's
that.
that's great defense.
doesn't matter. He
Yep.
got too sweet.
But,
I mean, he played.
So I do want to say this. Mark Andrews, I believe in the last 3 years, has only lost 1 fumble previously to that game or to that play. So that is the
Okay.
second fumble that he's lost in the last 3 years.
Let's play this fumble because this
And it
guy was
happened
already
during the
not
playoff
having a
game.
great game, and he's had a
Not
struggle
good.
season. You are marching down the field, not marching, but you're only down by 5. You could technically take it by 3
Mhm.
if you score and get a 2-point conversion. More on that later. And Lamar Jackson throws a decent ball to a wide open Mark Andrews against a soft zone probably. And
Yep.
instead of just going down or cutting up field, he decides, hey, let's get cute. Let's get so silly and goofy. And just gets absolutely strip sacked. Doesn't protect the ball. Just tries to play like Zay Flowers. It doesn't make sense.
Dude, that's just horrible, man.
And you kill.
And look
you
at
kill.
the clock. 8 minutes and 41 seconds left. Look.
So
insane.
then,
God,
well,
dude.
this is
I
the
really
big
wanna
one.
get into this, but I'm
This
gonna
is the
let
big
you
one.
finish, I'm sorry.
This is the big one because we're gonna play this.
Yeah.
If you watch the broadcast, Tony Romo literally says he caught it. Oh no, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you drop this?
It's a great play.
Oh,
And just
God.
I mean, holy
You know what's
moly!
even crazy about that? You know what's even crazier about that is it was called a catch by the announcers first, and he got it. No,
Yeah,
he didn't.
got
He
it.
dropped it. It was crazy, bro. He was wide open. I don't know if you said that earlier because my shit's not
No.
coming out right now.
No,
no,
you're
he
okay.
did.
All right. So I
Um,
want to do this. I'm really gonna try not to crouch out here, but I've been saying this, fellas. I've been saying this. There's 2 guys in the playoffs that I would not bet with. Would not bet with these 2 guys. That is Jared Goff and that is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in his career playoffs has some of the worst stats ever for a 3-time MVP. Career playoff stats. Lamar Jackson, 3-5 record. 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 6 lost fumbles, and a 60.5 completion percentage. He had a 10 touchdown to 13 turnover ratio. He is 3-5. Interception in the first half that I said, okay, you know what? You can live with that because even if he doesn't get that, it was going to be a punt, right? And they didn't score anything. Then you have a fucking fumble where you look at Lamar and you say, how in the fuck do you fumble that? How in the fuck do you fumble that? Dude, and look, I'm going to give it to fucking Lamar. Lamar's the best playmaker of all time. He is. Dude, like he's like to me like prime James Harden. Like,
this is like what
those
what
guys are
people
just
growing
different.
up early 2000 people watching Mike Vick. This is like what it is for
Yep.
us. Curry comes in the game
incredible.
and changes
However-
the game. This is what Lamar's doing.
Lamar's generational.
However,
He really
look
is.
at
That's a
something-
generational talent.
You look at something and maybe you can pull up this video like that play. And it's like, Lamar, what the fuck are you doing? And look, eventually you'll get to the point where You think that Lamar is going to mature or he's not going to do this in the playoffs, but look at the stats I just read out. 8 playoff games, and he is averaging almost 1.5 turnovers a game. Like, this is not just some bullshit fucking stat. Like, and I'll give it to Jared Goff because if you look at Jared Goff's stats compared to Lamar's, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But if you look at Lamar's, and this is a big sample size, this is not just one game. This is fucking 5 games that they've lost. 5 games. And in these games, he has fucking crucial turnovers. Crucial turnovers. And like I said, I will never bet with Lamar Jackson in the playoffs to win a Super Bowl. And I'll ask this question later because it's going to be part of our news. But look, man, it's just one of those things. Like, you just can't fucking bet with him. Got to bet against him. And it's like, oh, yeah, that one's bad. Like, fuck, you throwing to. And this one kind of pissed me off because the announcers were trying to say that Milano was in his face. Look at Milano. It's not even a pressure.
Yeah.
Like, he just threw this up. But that was not the bad one to me. The fumble was the bad one to me. And look,
the fumble was the
I'm
bad
not going
one.
to crash out completely.
find them.
But we're going to talk about it later because I have a question myself. But look, just like Jared Goff, I just don't see them winning with Lamar. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. And I think Lamar has a better fucking shot of winning. But there's just plays like this. It's like, okay. Did not start off great, right? But then you try to make the play happen, and it's like you lose.
What sucks, you know, what sucks about the game is that, you know, people will look at they're really, there's going to be 2 players that get the blame, and it's going to be Lamar and Mark Andrews. And ultimately, they made 2 massive boneheaded mistakes in 2 separate halves of the football game. Lamar was awful in that first half. I mean, god awful. 3 turnovers in the first half. In the second half, though, you look at his numbers, he was fantastic. Best player on that field in the second half. Played fantastic. But then, you know, they're in a winnable game, and then the Mark Andrews situation happens. And then they're in a very winnable situation. What I think people don't like hate enough, John Harbaugh. I am really sorry to say this. John Harbaugh has continually been in this situation year after year after year after year. And before if you take out the Niners season, he's not a great playoff performer. One of the things that pisses me off the most is the fact that they went for it twice for 2 points. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't give Derrick Henry the fucking football. They did not hand off the football.
They did a lot in the first quarter and everything. He was getting stuffed.
No, for 2-point conversions.
I'm saying for 2-point conversions.
Okay.
They have 2 of the most dynamic runners football has ever seen, and they decide, let's throw a 3-yard out route to fucking Mark Andrews. It's amazing. You tried it once, it didn't succeed. Let's try it again. See if it succeeds that time. It doesn't work, and they keep doing it. And no one gives him shit for it. But I truly, how many more times can we do this? Lamar is good enough to win in a playoff game. I'm not saying his stats are good enough. I'm saying he himself is a good enough talent. But when are we going to start looking the same way that we do for who's the Steelers head coach? I'm sorry. Mike Tomlin. When are we going to start looking at John Harbaugh as the issue, just like we're looking at Mike Tomlin? Doesn't matter who they bring in there. They suck in the playoffs. It's the same shit over and over and over and over again. I'm
John's in a way better fucking position. Look, I don't give a lot of credit to fucking Mike Tomlin because I think that he's an overrated coach. But if you give Mike Tomlin what John Harbaugh has, he might be a better coach. They might win that game. And look, I'm not blaming it on them because I genuinely do think that Lamar's mistakes and Mark Andrews' mistakes and that defense did not play the greatest. They didn't play the greatest throughout the whole game. However, those mistakes that added up were the reason why they lost the game.
I agree.
If you don't have 2 turnovers, you could potentially score 14 points. You win the game.
Yeah.
But look, man, I'm going to continue to say this. Lamar can win the first game, but in a game where it matters, you don't bet on Lamar and the Ravens. Period. End of story. It is what it is. And it sucks as a Ravens fan because it's like, dude, how can you not have faith in a 3-time MVP?
Yeah.
I mean, the stats are there. It's like this is something that we've never seen, but he can't win. He literally can't beat these guys. Like he can't win when it matters. So I don't know. We'll talk about it more too in the news because I do want to bring this up.
Yeah.
So, anything else, Keaton?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, moving on into our news section, we're kind of bouncing around a lot because news the past few weeks it's just been kind of weird. But like I said, we'll bounce around. So first off, I'm just going to start off with this. Lions are making some changes with their coaching, positioning, everything. First off, honestly, I'll just say this: Ben Johnson is now going to be the Bears' head coach. Just going to throw that out there right now. Caleb Williams, you may actually be saved in everything I said about you in the beginning of the season. I may have to take that back now and look like a fool. Kind of crazy stuff. But time will tell. Time will tell.
All I'm saying is that offense is going to look a lot different.
Fix your O-line, and maybe I will.
Williams, most improved player of the year next year?
I don't know.
No,
I've got my thoughts on it.
You can't say anything like that right now. It's way too early on that. Fix
know.
That O-line.
That's a hell of a hiring. That's a hell of a hiring. For a franchise that fucking sucks at hiring GMs, owners, managers, coaches, that is probably the best hiring they've had since their fucking run.
Right.
That is the best hiring they've had since they were a good franchise. So, hey, Ben
Big
Johnson, welcome to a good offense that needs a lot of work on the offensive line.
An awful offense that needs a lot.
It's not awful. It's not awful. There's a lot of good weapons. That offensive line is horrible. That's it.
Maybe the
Cole
quarterback.
Kmet, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore.
Do not say Cole Kmet is a weapon. Don't say Cole. He was awful.
Okay.
Anyways. Exodus.
Not only Ben Johnson, but the Patriots right now, not official, but right now they are currently targeting the Lions defensive line coach Terrell Williams to be their new defensive coordinator under Mike Vrabel. Yes, please. That'd be great. If you're Patriots, if you're hearing me right now, please, I'm begging you. I'm on my knees right now. Thank you. Which would be great, honestly, though. I think that'd be great for defensive coordinator.
Hey, look, and hold on. Before we even continue with this, say what's under it, because that's more important for what I'm about to say.
Well, now it's official. The Patriots are reuniting with Josh McDaniels as their offensive coordinator. And honestly, thank you. I'm okay with this. I'm so okay with this. I'm very okay with this.
Telling you.
He has proven to fans, to the NFL, that he is not a head coach, but he's damn sure proven to everyone that he is a fantastic offensive coordinator. And especially with working with Brady and under Belichick's wing. Yeah, I'm so sold on this. 100%.
Look, the Patriots are doing something, man. They're doing something. And we shit on them for a bit. There's 2 years where we were like, what the fuck are they doing? Even this year, it was like, But they fucking fire Mayo. They draft Drake May last year. And now they start going at it. I mean, Josh McDaniels, when he was an OC with the Patriots, was fantastic. Not a good head coach. Great OC. And then you're going after a Lions defensive oops, I just fucked that up. After a Lions defensive line coach to potentially be your defense coordinator, which he's had a good track record. And then you sign, and we talked about this earlier, Mike Vrabel, who I personally like and I think is a great fit for the Patriots. That defense is going to look different, and I'm telling you that offense is going to be fun. The Patriots are, in my opinion, going to be similar to the Panthers of last year or this year, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be fun. They're going to be in a lot of games. They're going to be dynamic. They just need to get a couple of players. Realistically, it's just a couple of offensive weapons like Cole Kmet, and they'd be good.
Not like Cole Kmet. Not like Cole Kmet. But there are a lot of free agents. This right now, for the Patriots at least, coming from a Patriots fan, a lot of good free agencies out right now. And we have the highest cap space. Yes.
They're moving back into the right direction, which is, I think, a breath
It's a breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air. Thank you. Which I think is a breath of fresh air for Patriots fans, because there were 2 years where it was like, ooh, shit. Like, talk about a rebuild. Like, it wasn't even good. Like, you guys even have a Pro Bowler type rebuild, you know? And now you look at this, and I would put a good amount of money, and we'll talk about this, on you guys signing a wide receiver in free agency because there is a lot of them. There's a lot of
There's
them,
a lot.
but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, so the next topic I want to bring up right now is so we were talking about, Zach, earlier, you were talking about MVPs and chances and everything with Lamar and whatnot. So this is not surprising, but like it all makes sense, right? So despite Josh Allen's head-to-head victory over Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen is still a huge underdog to win the MVP, only having a 34% chance. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson has a 63.9% chance. When it's all said and done, will Lamar's go down as the best to never win?
So I want to say this. The MVP is tough because obviously they don't take into account the playoffs because when they played in the regular season, the Ravens won 35-10. Mind you, the Bills had a couple of injuries and they lost when it mattered. However, they're not going to take that into account. And I will say this, looking at it, I do think Lamar has been, I don't want to word this bad. I would say I think Lamar has been better. I think Lamar has been better. However, I don't know if he's been more valuable because if you put Lamar Jackson on the Bills, I don't think they have the same record. And I do think they're fucking great, but I think Lamar is not a Bills quarterback like Josh Allen is a Bills quarterback, if that makes sense. He just fits that system and that culture so well. And me personally, I would have given it to Josh just because Lamar has won it, back-to-back years now if he does win it. However, you look at a year like last year where Lamar won and they picked the guy that was most valuable because his stats were not the craziest. However, he did play really well. And then he improved this year on literally everything. Just because he had a bad playoff performance, I don't think discredits what he did in the regular season. So I understand why he would get the MVP. However, to answer your question, and when it's all said and done, will Lamar go down as the best to never win it? I'm not going to lie. I genuinely think so. I genuinely think he's going to be the best to ever do it. Because if you look at the list of quarterbacks that have won 3 MVPs, it is a very, very short list. Very. Lamar's not old. Lamar's not even in his 30s. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's late 20s.
He's not. He should be around 28.
28.
Yep.
He has to be the first quarterback to win 3 MVPs by the age of 28. And, I mean, we can look it up right now. Players with 3 MVPs NFL.
Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Johnny Unitas. All of them have won at least one ring.
You look at all those guys, and they have the one thing that Lamar does.
Yep.
A ring. I don't think they're ever going to win it. And realistically, you look at a team like this, and it's like, unless their defense just becomes the 2000 Ravens that we saw, they have no fucking chance because how can you make a better offense? You have the best running attack we've ever fucking seen. You have the most dynamic quarterback running back duo ever. Your offensive line's not bad. You have weapons, and you just didn't get it done. You just didn't get it done yet again.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you can't defend this over and over again. So I'm going to say it. And sorry to you Raven fans if you guys get offended by this, but I genuinely think Lamar will never win it. He will never win it. And I don't even think if he leaves a Raven.
I think he'll win it.
I think he will in the future. I honestly think I really think he will.
I think he's too talented not to. And I don't know. I mean, again, you can't continue this history, right, and expect to win it. But I don't expect this to be a continuation effect. And I don't know. I mean, look, for the MVP standpoint, I know we'll talk, next week about who we think's going to win it. If they gave it to Lamar last year because of his value, he not only significantly improved, but if Josh Allen's the next closest, I don't expect this to be even that close. To me, this is like when Lamar won his first MVP and Russell Wilson was like having statistically his best year. And we were like, hey, this is like going to be a good MVP. It was unanimous. Russell Wilson didn't even get a single first place vote. And I don't want to say it's going to be like this again, but looking at the numbers, the value, 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 4,200 yards on 66% completion and 119 passer rating to 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,700 yards and 63%. Plus you add in the rushing stats and ultimately, I just don't think it's that close. I just don't know if Lamar again will ever win one. It could be like a Ken Griffey situation. I mean, Ken Griffey
Dude,
Jr.
honestly,
How
that's a
many?
great comparison. I've been trying to think of a fucking comparison right now. I can't.
He is a 13-time
Nash-
All-Star, 10-time Gold Glove Award, 7-time Silver Slugger, home run leader, first ballot Hall of Famer, 99% of the vote. Never won a ring. One of the greatest players to ever play baseball. Never won a ring. That's what he is. That's what he is.
To at least like a basketball player would be like Steve Nash, because Steve Nash had 2 MVPs, but Lamar has 3 MVPs.
Steve Nash
by
did
the
not
age of
deserve those
28.
MVPs.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
But, and it's a little bit different. I'm trying to think of a player that's had this many MVPs, at least comparatively to their sport.
Yeah.
But like, I want to say this, and to go back against our arguments, the only thing that I could see them picking Josh Allen for would be last year you picked Lamar because he was the most valuable. You didn't have the greatest stats. I mean, Brock Purdy had better stats than him. And this year, Josh Allen's typically been, his best fucking year. He's had his best year, and he's been the more valuable player. That's for damn sure. On a team that has way less talent. So that could be it. However, if you pick Lamar last year for being the most valuable and Lamar improves on literally everything to the point where he has a historical season, you can't not pick him. He will be the MVP, and he will also go down as the best quarterback / player to never win a ring.
Okay, let me just say this.
I guess, hot take, but
I would say good comparison as well. Maybe Mike Trout. Mike Trout, 3 MVPs, never won a ring.
Yeah.
I just want to say this. Barry Bonds, 7 MVPs in his career, never won a single ring. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
7 MVPs.
I
know
Barry
it's baseball.
Bonds is regarded as the best baseball player of all time, or one of them. I don't think Lamar is.
No. But I think it's like a Mike Trout situation.
But when it's all said and done, I mean, he could be top 25.
Yeah.
I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah, I just don't see him fucking winning. So
yeah,
that's just
that's fair. That's fair.
Well, for the next set, so this was some news actually released today. Cooper Kupp says he intends to continue playing in the NFL in 2025, but is unsure of his future in LA.
Anthony, look, this was the segment that I wanted you to bring up.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys remember, but there were a couple of cold-ass white dudes that played for the Patriots during their dynasty. And they were white and wide receivers and good route runners. And they thrived.
Yes.
Danny Amendola. The list goes on. I'm not even going to say the list right now.
Chris Hogan, lacrosse legend.
Chris Hogan.
Hogan.
I love Chris
Julian
Hogan.
Edelman. Love Chris Hogan. Loved
the
him.
list goes on, man. It goes on and on. And then you even had fucking running backs that were like little slot guys. Danny Whitehead. Remember him?
Danny Whitehead. Chargers legend.
Yes.
Danny Whitehead.
Just white boys that were cold as hell at route running. And that is exactly what Cooper Kupp is.
Rex Burkhead even.
Yes. But dude,
awesome.
I will say this. He doesn't necessarily remind me of Julian Edelman. However, he fits that almost perfectly. He will be a great route runner. Cooper Kupp will have 100 receptions easily next year if he goes to Patriots. Him and T. Higgins, those would be the guys that I would be fucking targeting. And I don't want to say that they're the front runner for one of those two guys, but I would almost put – actually, I would put a lot of money, and I fucking say that way too much because every single time I say that, it doesn't happen. But I would put a lot of money on one of those two guys going to the Patriots. Anthony, I'd be excited.
Go ahead, someone.
I'd be excited.
I'm super excited. I'm so excited for the next season. I've said this multiple times. We suck this year, but hey, you know what? There's next year. There's always next year.
You might have a couple Pro Bowlers next year.
Maybe. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Well, I want to bring this up because I was the one that wrote this down. Not to interrupt you. Did you guys have anything else with that? I'm sorry.
Nope, nothing.
Okay. So, like I said earlier, there has been a lot of Barstool sports talk, and specifically with John Gruden. And look, I love John Gruden. I think that he has a lot of good commentary. He's a hell of a guy. He's just a dude, right? Maybe not the greatest person in the world, but he is an entertainer, and he's been awesome. Him and Dave Portnoy, though, have had a segment where callers call in basically after each of the games, and they just rant, right? And there were a bunch of Texans guys saying, like, fuck the refs, blah, blah, blah. Look, we already debunked that. I'm not going to say this. However, I do think they brought up two really good questions. One, should refereeing be a year-long job? And two, should the NFL be able to review penalties? The NFL this year has started reviewing the placement of balls in which they can call a first down, a non-first down, or a first down. So why not be able to review penalties? And number two, the question of the referees being a year-long job has been asked multiple times to the NFL because these guys are the guys that decide these fucking premier games. These games that have millions, if not, they don't have billions, but these are, and you look at a Texans game versus Chiefs, and it's like, there's two penalties right there that were really fucking bad that could have been possibly reviewed. Or if they had classes and it was a year-long thing where they got paid a certain amount, they might have been more well-versed. So my question is to you, should they be able to be reviewed? And should these referee jobs be year-long where they get salaries?
No to the reviewing side from my perspective. It's the same thing with the umpires. Should we have a robot ump?
Yep.
Obviously, umpires, you can't argue balls and strikes, right? You can't argue calls on the field. That's with a challenge. Every sport has a challenge now. But I think what makes the game exciting is shitty calls. And unfortunately, it feels like a lot of times, especially in the playoffs, it's against the Chiefs. And maybe that's just because not only is their narrative built, but the fact is the Chiefs are always in this 7 straight AFC championship appearances. So they always, they're always here. So they always get the calls. I like the idea that there's bad calls. It keeps people entertained. It adds to it. However, I think there's some game-changing calls that, could have changed the outcome of certain team seasons if they're called correctly. Even last year with the Lions, Dan Skipper, not saying Dan Skipper, ruled eligible. It's like, hey, he clearly did. You just didn't fucking hear it, you idiot. So I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea. I just don't think it's useful enough.
Yeah. I'm saying no as well with Keaton on that. I don't like the idea of challenging a flag in per se. Not the biggest fan of that. It does what?
Just glazing me, dude. I think Keaton's got the greatest answer I've ever heard. Holy shit, dude. Wow.
Okay. I was just saying, I agree with you on this. I honestly think it makes the games go by a lot. I think it makes the games go by slower if that's the case.
Yeah.
How many challenges are you allowed to go with for a flag, right? How will that affect timeouts then? I think all in all, that goes by so much more slow. And I think, it's all just part of the game. Yes, unfortunately, it happens to the best team that's in the NFL mainly, right? All the other times, there's some questionable ones here and there with all these other teams, right? But I mean, it only happens to the best team. I mean, it was the Patriots and now it's the Chiefs. It sucks for me, at least the Chiefs for the time being, right? But that's going to eventually go away. It's going to move on to the next dynasty team that's going to be out there in the next 15 years, 10 years. So I'd say no on that.
I want to play devil's advocate real quick and say this. I think the NFL has done, and we'll talk about this in the offseason, a really good job with implementing New York basically overriding if it's a first down or not. I think that's great for the game. I do. And I do think to a point being able to review these penalties could be beneficial. However, I don't think that you could get free reign because it'd be like what you're saying. It'd be a 4-hour game. What if you got one challenge per game and it reviewed the penalty? And look, we didn't really answer the referees being year-long salary jobs, but what if they were trained to understand, we have 5 guys here. We have to come to a vote as to if this actually is within the rules or not. And if it's 3 of 5, it's majority, and it's either called a penalty or not. And you get 1 per game. And realistically, it would make sense because everyone would keep it until the end, right? Or until a really bad play happens, like that causes a fumble or something like that. And I think that could be the case where it would make sense. However, you can't have unlimited. But if you were to have 3 challenges, one of those is for a penalty, only 1, or maybe 4, and you get 1 additional for a penalty, I think it can make sense. And the NFL is kind of using the AI and all of the stuff that they did with Replay Assistant to help with other things. So it's like if they could.
They did have this though. They did technically have this for pass interference.
They did with pass interference, but it's not just pass interference. It's much different now. Because since then, when was that implemented? 2018?
2019, scrapped in 2020.
Yeah. Since then, they've added a fuck ton of rules with hitting the quarterback. A fuck ton. And I think that mainly, like, if you see a guy flop, obviously they're not going to fucking throw a flag. But if they do throw the flag, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's fucking in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, and you just threw an unnecessary roughness for a dude that flopped. It'd be like, okay, I'm going to challenge it.
Yeah.
Fun. I think that would be the move. And then to answer my own question really quickly, should refereeing be a year-long job? Absolutely. I think that the stakes are too high for an NFL and a business for you to say it's too expensive. Their reasoning was it was too expensive to have referees go into classes and shit. What the fuck? Have the greatest referee of all time go and fucking coach this shit. Make it cheap and fucking have this shit be $100,000 a year. You could pay it easily. So that's my opinion on it. That wraps up the news. Anthony, moving to the next segment.
Right. So, I already said a crazy stat. I'm good. Anyone else have a crazy stat off the top of their head? If not, we can jump straight into everything.
I said mine.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect.
Not have one.
Moving on. AFC/NFC Championship week, fellas. Then there were
I'm
4.
excited for this one too, man.
So Sunday, starting off, Eagles and Commanders. So basically, this game right here, we got a rookie quarterback who has surprised everybody for making it this far and make history if he makes the Super Bowl. Or we have a quarterback looking to get revenge if he goes to the Super Bowl and prove everyone wrong. Commanders at Eagles. Who do you guys got?
I have been wrong a lot, so I'm going to try and break that trend. Give me the Commanders. I don't
take the Commanders as well.
I was about to say, I have a funny feeling that's going to be unanimous.
I think Jaden Daniels is probably one of the most calm under pressure rookie quarterbacks, probably the most calm other than Peyton Manning's first rookie year. It's amazing. What he's able to do in stressful moments is fucking absurd. And he did it at LSU.
Statistically, he is the clutchest rookie quarterback of all time and the clutchest quarterback of this year as a rookie.
Yeah, this might be the greatest rookie season of all time.
I don't see that change. And look, I was literally about to say the same thing. A lot of people are saying that this is the greatest rookie season of all time. If he gets to the Super Bowl, how could you not say that? I mean, you go from a losing team to a Super Bowl team just by one guy. And they did pick up a couple guys, but he's been the main guy. And look, I've also seen some other things, man. They're getting a little chippy with comparisons. They're saying that Jaden Daniels is what Jalen Hurts thinks he is. And kind of like that. I kind of like it.
Well,
give me the Commanders, though, man. Give me the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, same. So now, fellas, game of the week. Officially, game of the year, game of the whatever. We have an elite quarterback right now looking for a three-peat and considered to be the second best quarterback of all time. And you know what? We have a quarterback looking to get his revenge on the Chiefs and finally getting his first Super Bowl with the Bills. We have the Bills at Chiefs.
I'm gotta ride the hot hand. They've done it every year, last 2 years.
Yeah.
Give me the Chiefs.
Holy shit. You okay?
Felt a little bit lighter. Yeah, I felt like a weight. Like I felt like I got 30 pounds lighter. I've got loud sneezes. Fair enough.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going with the Chiefs, man.
That was fucking wild.
I can't.
Look, Anthony,
I'm picking the Bills. I'm taking the Bills. I'm riding all in on the Bills. I honestly think that they can do it because if there is a Bills team that's going to be able to do it in the postseason, in the playoffs, this is that team. Yeah. This is that team that can actually do it.
A couple of things to say. Number one, I'm almost positive this game's going to come down the wire, and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are not going to choke it. I think it's going to be almost identical to the first duel that they had where they both went fucking nuts. But with that being said, I have the Chiefs. I just don't see them losing it. And if it's a close game, the Chiefs have been great all year. And, I mean, the Bills have been great all year too. But I just have a funny feeling the Bills' defense is going to choke. or someone is
Yeah.
going to make a play that's horrible, and the Chiefs are just going to take advantage of it and unfortunately win. However, I am highly, highly rooting for the Bills. You guys know this. And I will say this as well, and I think you guys agree with this. Whoever wins this game is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's my take.
That's fair. I'm not
Yeah,
rooting for the Bills
fair.
personally.
What?
I'm rooting for the Chiefs. It's crazy to say.
Yeah, I think you're doing that little live thing that you began.
I'm not. I'm being genuine. I am being genuine.
Are you doing that little cap thing that you were doing for the beginning of the episode where you had the green screen and then it just popped up out of nowhere and you're going to say, oh, voila, I'm actually rooting for the Bills?
No.
You are actually rooting for the Chiefs.
Yep. I'm 100% rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm rooting for the Commanders to win the Super Bowl, but I still, my Josh Allen hate is a lot higher than my Patrick Mahomes hate.
Dude,
sorry, man. Sorry.
What? We're over this.
You know what, dude? Anybody that owns the 49ers, I'll root for. And the Chiefs are the reason that the 49ers still don't have a ring in the 2000s. So, I'll root for the Chiefs. Absolutely. I don't like the Bills. Never have.
That's blasphemous.
That is crazy. That is blasphemous. You're probably the only person in our group chat and maybe in the world besides Kansas City fans that is really against the Bills.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So I have no clue
but yeah. Well, that's insane.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's our episode.
That's our episode.
Sure if it's my internet. Or,
you know what? Besides,
the internet's deciding that it's over for the night.
Yeah. We're done regardless.
Besides Keaton, saying he's rooting for the Chiefs like an idiot.
Okay, cool.
That's it. That's the episode. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know who do you think is going to win in the AFC/NFC championship games this weekend. Give us your thoughts, give us your input. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Whelan to punt it away. Cleaner operation this time, trying to pin everybody deep, and it's fielded on the far sideline. It's Blackwell, a little bit of trickery in the special teams game, and Blackwell is going to take it all the way for a Chicago touchdown.